I think that worked. Hello, and welcome to a podcast about gender, FKA N-Baby, which will probably still be named N-Baby, but for the sake of the fact that I am no longer an N-Baby, I'm not an N, I'm not a B, and I'm not a baby. At least I like to think so. I'm Gabriel Garrow Lonning. The new name is, in fact, just new. That's what it is. It's a new name. I got it from, myself when I was born. I like the name N-Baby. It just isn't super fitting, though probably through these conversations, you and I will both realize that I'm a little bit more non-binary than I tend to think in my everyday life. I think we probably all are a little bit more non-binary. This might be intense for the first minute and a half of this old new podcast. This is a podcast about gender. There are so many genders. If you don't believe that there are so many genders, look at how many fucking cheeses there are. I'm gonna bet that most of the American cheese you're eating is not actually American cheese. It also just sounds incredibly fake. If you don't believe that there are a ton of genders, just look at how many fucking Kardashians there are. There are so many. And now they have different names. And we call them by those names. How can I miss something like this so much and then forget about it every single day? I don't. I think about it every single day. I just am dealing with my own stuff, and therefore can't always get to the place where I'm dropped in and talking to you. I also have gone through periods of my life where I just want no eyes on me whatsoever, and then think that that's how I want to live my life, and then it melts off and I'm like, oh, I think I want eyes on me, but not the wrong eyes on me, and that just can't happen. That's an impossible want to have. I have a new dog walking job. That's not all that I do. I still do stand-up. I still do everything. I've been fucking chipping away at this giant boulder. See, Sisyphus pushes the boulder up the hill. Me, I'm making a well-designed, chiseled man out of my boulder. N-Baby was born during the pandemic and was hosted by me as well as my two roommates at the time. And it was born out of a place of just wanting a place where I could actually speak honestly. So I guess that's what I'm trying to do right now. I moved multiple times. I lost my apartment multiple times. I lost my job multiple times. And for some wacky reason, that doesn't really feel like it was just... I mean, it really lined up with when I transitioned. It really did. I'm so sure that that's happened to people. I'm on F to M Reddit. I know that has happened to people. And feminine people. M to F as well. Let's talk about how nervous I am. Incredibly so nervous. So nervous that I want to adjust this camera again. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous that I didn't plan anything to say, and I'm just sitting down and shooting the shit with you now. I'm so nervous about flying. Why? I mean, I always am, but that fucking sucks. I have to fly in a plane. I tried going on Amtrak, and that was not a good choice. It was a lot of fun on the way there. The way back, I have to say that it's almost like they cosplaying it's the early 1900s. Maybe not the 1900s, 1990s, Not a big difference. For some reason, airlines as well right now are cosplaying like it's the 1990s. I don't like that, but it's all fine. What else am I nervous about? I'm nervous about telling people my new name. It's terrifying. Because I'm not, like, just like when I changed my pronouns multiple times, I'm not, like, so sure about it, but I'm not so sure about, like, anything. You know, I'm so sure about I left something in the oven, and the oven is on. See, that's something that you can be confident in. What else am I so nervous about? I'm so nervous about people forgetting about me. I'm nervous that they'll just completely forget I exist. And that's kind of like with the new name thing. Like, you know, I like the name Gara. I still go by that name. I think it's cool. I think Gabriel Gara Gabriel is like my actual first middle name. Gabrielle. But spelled like Gabrielle. That's confusing. Mothers are confusing. Why have a kid if you're not gonna like totally accept them when they either come out of your V hole or your C hole, which is a C-section? I'm working on it. I'm back in therapy. We're talking about my obsessions and hell, we're talking about my compulsions. I'm also on that Reddit page as well. If you haven't gotten the lead up, I'm going to go on F to M Reddit and I'm going to answer some questions. And they're not questions that were to me, they were more just questions to the masses. I'd like to say that a podcast is incredibly limiting. There's no way for me or you to know if I'm fully telling you the truth, but this is my truth and this is my understanding how things have worked. And isn't that what we're all bringing to the table? It's just when some people aren't listening. And that's, I guess, the beauty of a podcast is you're listening to it. If we're just going to be completely raw and honest on this podcast, I gave up cigarettes. I haven't smoked in, oh my gosh, 4 months. Wow. Really liked how I looked on those cigarettes. But I don't necessarily want to look like that. I think the internet has trained me to want to look like that. I can be like, and I am, whatever. This is so stupid. I'm glad that I gave up smoking. Vaping's worse. I like one night just threw up like black tar. And I was like, this cannot happen anymore. Okay. You know, we're being raw. Raw, isn't that like a tobacco product? I think it's terrible. First thing that came up, how do I change my Reddit name? I did look that up. I'm not like a savant with Reddit. I am a total amateur with this thing, but I like it. It's a good time. Okay, I'm answering questions on the F to M Reddit because I am F to M. I F'd and now I'm M'ing, and I'm M'ing hard. I'm M'ing harder than I thought I would ever M. In the podcasting world, you have to enter this zone where you keep in your head the knowledge that you'll be editing and you'll be speaking. So I think it makes for great conversation with yourself because you got to keep it tight like my little man body, like my little man hole. My close friend, NB22. Oh, the question. The question is how to deal with friends who hate men and masculinity. This is already hitting so close to home that I've started digging like a pit outside my home. I'm like one of those dads who's like a prepper. My close friend, NB22, has a lot of negative emotions tied to men and views masculinity as toxic, destructive, and inherently opposed to feminist ideals. The villainization of masculinity from their part makes me feel terrible because I consider myself a masculine man and I'm working on becoming even more physically masculine. Hey, bro, that's tight. And it feels like she hates that part of me. She fully accepts me as a man and all, but she still makes a big distinction when talking about cis men and trans men, which feels wrong to me, even borderline transphobic. Wow. A lot of these questions I'm going to answer are from a place of not really knowing the answer myself, and I guess that's how people connect. Before I answer this question, I'd like to say that my hair is orange now. Has nothing to do with the question. How to deal with friends who hate men and masculinity. Ultimately, I think the way that our society views masculinity, it took me a long time to get to this conclusion, but I think the way we view it is actually more harmful to the socialization of women, the way that we talk about masculinity, and the socialization of men just feeds this fire that's as orange as my hair. It took me so long to come around to it because I was like one of those really like bleeding heart feminists in high school, as I think a lot of trans masculine people were. It's important to remember that is where a lot of trans masculine people are coming from, because within that feminist world is where we found like a lot of our like our passion and our drive. That was like a really great place to put that in. I'm not done saying I'm a feminist. I'm not done saying that. I don't know when we like got this notion that we're all gonna be done calling ourselves feminists. I really do think, like I've said before, need a new PR team, but I'm not done calling myself that. Don't hold me to it. Something could happen. I'd be like, okay, now I'm done calling myself that. Trans women and trans men offer to society, and non-binary people offer to society, a real I think of it as like that waterway in Oregon Trail that you like have to cross in your like carriage. So I think it's important for people to not start with that power within conversation. I think that it really hurts people, actually. I do think that words they're a starting point for some larger problem. It's interesting that this person is non-binary. Maybe, though, that is just like a response to what they're afraid of, because I think that masculinity tends to, the way that society views it, it tends to like conjure up more fear. You know, I after transitioning, especially my voice lowering, I would find that more people would be like afraid of me. Like I'll be walking. I'm only laughing because this never happened to me when I looked like a girl. I would be like walking the train. There would be like a woman in front of me, and I'd be like walking kind of like big steps, and she would kind of like look back and like start speeding up, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I'm the bear. Like I'm FX's the bear. In reality, what we are afraid of, I think, is something that's within all of us, genuinely. I think that it takes really powerful people in conversation to call out stuff like that. I want to speak about things, and I want to actually address the way people have seen things forever, but not... I don't need to change someone's mind to be their friend. You know, I don't need to do that. But I do feel like I should be able to talk to friends about their underlying like issues with certain things like this, and we can reach a common ground that it at least acknowledges that a lot of the ways that they felt, especially when people are so wanting to change a social structure within something or the way that we talk about things, like that's what's in right now, is to be like overly socially conscious. Why can't we talk about the things that you don't want to talk about. Like, we're so quick to judge men for just being men, when now trans people are offering this, like, you know, this horse in the causeway that shows them that maybe it's a little bit more nuanced than they thought. And moving on. Going to therapy with my transphobic mom. What to do, what to say. So my family is transphobic. My mom, most of all, she never called me by my preferred name and never supported me in the aspect of any aspect of my life, saying I destroyed her life, that I do this all the time to make her suffer. Now, she's been going to therapy for a few months, no idea why, she never talks about it. Now her therapist requested I tag along to her next appointment. That's interesting. How should I prepare? You know, I've gone to therapy with my mom before. It was for OCD. We both have it. Not a big surprise. That stuff is hereditary. You want to talk about transness being hereditary? Well, don't ask me, because I'm just a guy on a microphone, okay? You can't even talk back, so why would I talk about something that could be so fringe? My mom and I went to therapy together. She also is, my mom, she's just, I love her a lot. She's really strange. She won't use my pronouns at all. Like, I don't think she has ever used them. And that sucks. If my therapist asked my mom to, like, hop on a Zoom therapy session, I think that would actually, maybe I'll even talk about it with my mom and my therapist at some point, because this is like something that I genuinely want to change, is my mom and our relationship. I talk to her every day. I never used to do that. I think this girl is fucking nuts. She's hilarious, though. It's like listening to a podcast, though, getting my mom on the phone. I don't say a damn thing for 20 minutes. It's exhilarating. She talked for 20 minutes about, like, her milk going bad. Like, genuinely crying over spilled milk. I think she's a comedic genius. I just don't think she necessarily wants me to be happy. Well, I think to this person, like, having your mom go to therapy with you, especially if you see your mom a lot, like, I don't think it could hurt. I don't think you need to prepare anything. I think let the therapist, like, if your therapist is supportive of you, like, let them do what you or your insurance company pays them to do, which is kind of just, like, air out your dirty laundry. I think that talking about it is probably one of the best things that you could do. Then the, like, change part comes in, wanting her to change. My mom will change, and that's why I'm building this relationship with her. You know, like, we go out together and, like, try to pick up dudes. It's so adorable. It's so sweet. Like, she doesn't get why I transitioned, because she, like, wonders why I got my boobs off when I want to pick up guys. To be honest, at this point, when it's this hard for me to meet men, I'm like, yeah, why would I? It's like Michael Jordan just, like, chopping off both of his knees. Like, why the fuck would you do that? I guess because you are looking at the long run and you're like, okay, well, hopefully God brings me someone who likes me more for this, you know? Because that would be tragic to, like, yeah, imagine that if you, like, transition while you're in a relationship with someone and then had to break up with them. I did that. That was me. I mean, again, when my mom went to therapy, she never came again because she was just so genuinely, like, shocked at what the therapist told her. That might happen. I think, though, in the long run, it just only helps to talk about that. I'm going to do one more question. This is fun. Sorry I was so sad for, like, 2 years. Anyone with anxiety/depression have their symptoms get worse on tea? I started a low dose of tea gel a few months ago and recently feel my anxiety and depression have skyrocketed. I'm having panic attacks several times a week. There are times when I'm so depressed that I can't do anything at all. Okay, here's what I think this is. And this is just like from my own experience. Same. My anxiety like has gotten worse. But it gets worse at times when I'm making ginormous changes. Kind of just letting that sit for myself to hear that. And that's so scary. And this is where all of the mask of the entire me talking, it fades off, because I am like, I think, not doing well. But I'm doing more well than I was like a year ago. There's just something about like taking yourself seriously that makes the world a little bit scarier. But I guess if I can say this for myself and anyone else, it's not getting scarier. It's getting better. And the world is scary. That's kind of why I'm bringing this podcast back. I want to talk about gender because it's real. And the way that we experience it is real. And even being a trans man, I still experience gender every day. And it felt so much better when I was... And I'm around great people. I have great friends. I really am cultivating a better life for myself. It was cold for like 4 months, and now it's just not cold anymore. That's bullshit. Gaslighting. I want some big things in my life to change, and the only way that they're going to change is by like making these really big decisions. And that's scary. Like when you're out like with your friends and you're having those like thoughts creep back in, like they're not like, they're more like, I miss the way things were, or more like this for me, or like I miss like when I was happy, or I miss when this was easier. And like I guess that's just like the point, that when you wake up the next day, like the changes that you're making are to make the next portion of your life happier and easier. And that's what tea has done, like for me. And it is really scary. It is like, sometimes I'll stop taking tea because I'll just like have these moments of just total doubt that it's doing anything for me, or doubting that it's making me happier. But then like these moments that used to just really be totally like explosive for me, explosive in the sense of like it would break my heart to have a like person hitting on me and then like not seeing me for who I was, like that could destroy my confidence for like a long time. Still does. It was like smoking cigarettes. Like it was just like this thing of the more I would smoke, kind of it would make me depressed, but still I would convince myself that having another cigarette was actually helping my depression. And that wasn't true. And I don't think it's true that the tea gel is giving you depression. I think it's the thoughts that are coming with change are so depressing at times. Because you're like a growing, living, breathing person, and all you want to do is like stop time for a second to be able to change and not have it affect everything else around you. But it just does. So you're good. You're solid. I'm solid too. I'm good. Like I really want to keep this up. I'm walking dogs every day. Something that I'd really like to do if this reaches the NBaby listeners, I think it will, is I'd like to talk to you. Yeah. I have this NBaby like question sheet still going. I'm hoping at some time like I can get maybe like a Zoom together or something like that. I am starting a dance club in New York because I think getting together in community right now can just change our lives. I'm starting it on March 23rd. It'll be every Sunday, March 23rd on. I think so. If enough people attend, I have to pay for the space, so I'd like for people to show up. Please do. It's not for dancers. It's for anyone who just wants to like move. And I'm good with people like that. I went like years of like having training, but like being around people who are way better than me, and like that's not this. It'll be real community. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff coming up. I've got a lot of cool stuff, and I gotta remind myself of that, and you should too. It's not so scary. You know, it is scary when you block yourself out from everyone, but you don't need to do that anymore, because I'm not. So, if your old pal, Gabriel, who changed his name, and also, you know, I could say, like, changing my name, did that give me depressive thoughts? Fuck yeah, it did. It's fucking scary. I'm excited. This will be fun. This is a podcast about gender, because gender is real. And there's not just two. If you don't believe that there's more than two genders, I don't know, look outside and see how many clouds there are in the sky and be like, oh, how'd the clouds get there? You know, you can search that up, but you can't recreate how it feels to see a cloud that like looks like your childhood dog, you know? Did this not make sense? Gender is a construct like clouds are. Okay. I gotta pull this thing out of the oven. Bye.